I want to talk about a phenomena that goes on in devotional service, and I think, in a sense, it's inevitable. But by talking about it, we can deal with it. And it's the verse where Krishna says that one is a pretender if they give up the objects of sense gratification, but they think about it. Why are they pretenders? Because they're still doing it. They're doing it in their mind. And one might say, but in Kali Yuga, there's no sinful reaction for doing it in your mind, and that's true. But the fact that we're doing it in our mind means we're getting polluted by that activity. And as Krishna says, you're pretending. Why is it that we renounce something with our body, but we don't renounce it with our mind? Well, we're conditioned, we're still attached. And we can do it in our mind and derive a lot of pleasure, even though we don't do it with our body. We're not allowed to, because we're still attached. We're doing it in our mind. And I would offer this idea to meditate on, that I think it would be very good and healthy for us to think, if I'm doing it in my mind, I'm still doing it. Now you might say, well, I took a vow to follow 4 principles and I'm following them. But sometimes in my mind, I meditate on breaking them. But okay, good, you didn't break them. You're good. You kept your vows. I'm not arguing that. But I think for our own purification, it's good to say, actually, I am breaking them. Because if I've actually supposedly renounced them, then I should actually renounce them, not just with my body, but with my mind. So if we think, every time we're thinking about something we shouldn't do, it's nice to think, I think it's very helpful to think, I'm actually doing it. And I either vowed to my guru or promised myself I wouldn't do this. So if we think that way, it's much easier to control ourselves, because we'll realize, no, I shouldn't even be thinking of this, rather than, well, it's okay to think as long as I don't do it. Okay, but strictly speaking, it's not. And strictly speaking, brahmachari, you think it's okay for a brahmachari to be chanting his rounds while out of the corner of his eye he's looking at the girls, especially the pretty ones? You think that's okay, as long as he doesn't do anything? Obviously not. So why should we delude ourselves and think it's okay to think about doing something that we're not supposed to do? So it's really a kind of cheating. That's why Krishna says you're pretending, because you're cheating, because you're actually doing it in your mind. Now, yes, sometimes we dream about sense gratification. When I first went to India, that prasadam was not good, and I was dreaming about American prasadam. I found out later everybody was dreaming about American prasadam. Because we weren't satisfied with what we were getting. Okay, that's understandable. We couldn't really control that. We were kind of starving for our, comfort foods that we weren't getting. Everything was really, really spicy. It was cooked in, I don't know, 10-30 weight motor oil, a kind of rice that only animals should eat, and it was bad. Not to offend the cooks or the managers, but pretty much everybody was getting sick. So that's a different situation. But to be consciously meditating on some activity that we've actually renounced, there's something going on there. So we need to understand what's going on there, and we need to admit to ourselves that I vowed to not do this, but I actually didn't make a complete vow because I can't get it out of my mind. And until I make that complete vow, it's going to be in my mind. So we need to tell ourselves or confront this reality. If I've actually made this vow, I need to get it out of my mind. That would be the completion of the vow. That would mean I truly made this vow on the deepest level. I don't think about it anymore. There's no question. I don't try to enjoy it in my mind. Why do we think about it in our mind? Because we're trying to enjoy it. We're playing through it in our mind, so we're getting the pleasure of doing that without actually doing it. And so let us be honest and say, no, I promise not to do this. And the promise really was that I will not think about it any longer. I won't do it in my mind. And that can help us to, not dream about sense gratification, because that's harmful. But this is a very common problem. You renounce something because it's the right thing to renounce. You want to do it, but there's still this attachment to it that hasn't been cut, and we need to cut those attachments. And the proof that we've cut them is we'll stop thinking, no, this is what I want to do, so why will I think about anything else? It's not part of my life. Is there some thought in the back of my head that it's still enjoyable? Is that why I'm thinking about it? Is there some thought in the back of my head that maybe somehow I can enjoy this and nobody's going to know because no one's in my mind? Well, guess who knows? Krishna knows, and that's not good. And Krishna will be much happier if you don't think about the things that you've given up. You just give them up on every level. And then your mind can be filled with Krishna. Hare Krishna.